hearts who are struggling, and to think also of all those who need to be celebrated. And let's just take a minute, just a minute of time right now, and we'll start right here at 45, and we'll go for a minute just of silence. It's fantastic. Right. Take the prayers of all of our hearts and let's add a little religion and say amen. 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 I want to bring us first and foremost. Last week we did a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh about lettuce, and if the lettuce grows badly, we never blame the lettuce. And then it went on, and there was a second paragraph that said, if we were only to love people perfectly, then their offenses wouldn't hurt us so much. It was kind of like that. And there was something that I didn't notice about that quote, and two people brought to me afterwards, and I need to apologize for that, is that second part of the quote does not fit if you are being abused. Right? That we can't blame ourselves. Oh, if I were only better, then I wouldn't be hit. That is not, that the quote has a giant exemption there, and I did not bring that up. I didn't even think of it. So for those who were triggered and hurt, please, nobody has the right to hurt another human being. The quote doesn't, it is not on you that you're being hit or hurt. That is the fault of someone else. So I wanted to first and foremost bring that to our attention. Today's quote is also vegetation-based. This one is from Ram Dass. Ram Dass, who went to school with Meg and I. Meg, who's on the call. Ram Dass was a graduate of Tufts University, and here's what he said. When you go out into the woods and you look at the trees, you see all these different trees. And some of them are bent, and some of them are straight, and some of them are evergreens, and some of them are whatever. And you look at the tree and you allow it. You see one. That's the implied. So emotional about it. You didn't get all emotional about it. You just allow it. You appreciate the tree. The minute you get near humans, you lose all of that. And you are constantly saying, you are to this or I'm to that. That judgment mind comes in. And so I practice turning people into trees, which means appreciating them the way that they are.
Who keeps clearing their throat? Mute yourself.
Can we get a few more auditory or yeah?
Like that's going to do any good.
Amen. And we got some thumbs up. And hopefully right now, when I'm doing this screen sharing, there's no echo. I think I finally fixed it again. I know I've said that already 3 weeks in a row, but I think this week it's finally fixed and there's no echo. So if somebody's on Facebook, they'd let us know. Talk to me about that quote. Let's look at that quote. Anybody ever go out into the woods? Show of hands. How many of you have gone out into the woods and you said, that tree is wrong? Careful when you raise your hand. Raise it quickly there. Yeah. And how many of you have gone into a group, into a room filled with people and said, some of you are wrong? What? Yeah. Okay. How many of us have looked at a tree and said, that's fine, and then looked in the mirror and said, that's not fine? That's why trees don't look in the mirror. Glad I could.
We don't have very many trees in Sherwood.
Oh, hi, Joy. You can
So, Joy, what do you look at? You look at ponies.
trees and we get to animals, now all of a sudden our judgment goes up now, doesn't it? Well, that's not a purebred. Well, look at that one. It's got a gimpy leg. Look at that one. Its spots don't. It's got one blue eye and one green, and we get a little more judgmental. So we go from trees where we're all pretty accepting. We don't have any botanists here, do we? We go from trees where we're pretty accepting to animals where we have a little bit more judgment to where would be the next one? Would it be people in general or ourselves? Where's the more judgment for you? Is the more judgment on other people or is the more judgment on you? Let's have a show of hands. Me. Show of hands. How many have more judgment towards others? How many have more judgment towards some?
Sometimes they're the same.
Sometimes they are the same. Thank you, Betsy.
Yeah.
We both judge. Bob, you have your hand raised. And for those of you who are not familiar with this group, please leave your microphone unmuted. And if you have a question, you can raise your physical hand or raise your electronic hand. Go ahead, Bob. What do you got? What do you got to tell us, Bob?
Is there a difference between observation and judgment?
All right. Is there a difference between observation and judgment? And what do we think about that one? Wait, I still have.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Bob, for bringing us back to this. Hold on. Remember these two guys? If you weren't here a few weeks ago, we talked about this. That this one with the D is discernment, and this one with the J is judgment. And the way it happens in our lives is we always notice something, and then we attach a judgment to it. You can't judge something unless you first noticed it. Now, you can discern without judgment. You can't judge without discernment. That was like a little magic trick. I kind of enjoyed watching the visual of that. And they're often tied at the hip, our discernment and our judgment. The trick, a spiritual goal, is to do this. To separate them out. So that the judgment gets further away from the discernment and you can actually look at the judgment and not think that's true.
I thought you said observe, not discern.
Observe and discern I'm just using as synonyms for each other. If you observe something, it's what you discern, it's what you see. Go ahead, Michael.
No, I think it's much more loaded word, discernment, observe. Observe is very clinical. Discernment is moral. It's moral.
Okay, I agree. Okay.
Okay, I paused it for a second. Okay, you got to pause here too. Thank you. I'm sending him a message.
Okay, the revolution is upon me now. That's all good. Can we go with that there's judgment and then there's the noticing? Can we go with noticing without it being a loaded word?
Yes.
So, hold on. I'm getting a little plastic surgery here. There's an N. That work for us? There's the J for judgment. Michael, there's something we notice and then we judge. Fantastic. And this is going to come up again in a moment. What we just did right now, and this has come up in the past, is to try to learn, and it's easier with me doing this with this small little example, that what sounds like a criticism can actually be heard as a commitment. That somebody challenging me, somebody challenging you, is actually somebody who cares.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually someone who cares. And it's really hard to do in the heat of life. But if we can learn to separate out our noticing, I noticed that Michael said something, and my judgment of, oh, I must have made a mistake, or he must be an ass, or there's some other judgment to it. It's just as much as we can leave it, and this brings us back to our quote, as much as we can leave it in the noticing part. We're just noticing the tree. We're not judging it. So we have done this in the past, is we have talked about TWIPs. This week I'll practice. And we have one right off the bat. If you're looking for something to practice this week, it's turning people into trees. Now, I'm glad that I can write that down, turn people into trees. That sentence means something to us who are here because we just heard the quote. But it doesn't mean anything if I shared that quote with someone else. Hey, you know what you should do this week? Turn people into trees. That's going to be like a Bob Ross reference. They're going to have no idea what I'm talking about. So what I'd like to hear, and hopefully I maybe can coax somebody who hasn't shared before, what does this phrase mean, turn people into trees? What does that mean so that we know what that, if we were to take this on as a homework assignment, this week I'm going to practice doing it, what does it mean to turn people into trees? Accept them as they are. Okay, now that was exactly it.
Yeah.
Accept people as they are. How? The same way that we accept trees. Rob, wait, hold on a second. Rob, and then we got to get back to our turkey taking. But Rob, go ahead.
But we don't just accept trees the way they are. I'm sorry.
No, we don't. We say some of them are weeds. Some of them are invasive.
Some of them will fall on our house.
Yeah, some of them will fall on our house. Keep going, Rob. What else you have?
Well, it's all about trees. So when you say it's easy to not judge when it comes to trees, I think you're incorrect.
Can I go with easier? It's easier for me, I can say for me, but it's easier for many of us to not judge nature as much as we judge ourselves as though we're not part of nature?
Well, I could say you would, but that would, have to do with trees.
Really deep around here. Kathleen, thank you for raising your hand. Talk to us, my friend. What do you have?
Well, how about instead of judging, making distinction?
Instead of judging, making distinction. Say a little bit more. And I must note, you have trees all behind you as you're talking, so it's fantastic. Tell us a little bit, Kathleen, about what you mean by making a distinction.
Well, it's like maybe judging would be either positive or negative.
Yeah, correct.
Judging would be, to my mind, but making distinctions is just seeing what's there.
So back to noticing, just noticing it without judging it.
Yeah, but it's a little farther than just your first glance.
Not just noticing it, but taking it in.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. We're all right with that idea? Taking it in?
Yeah.
So if nothing else, we could be done with it. Hey, those of you who want, you're done with the service. You got the moral of the week. Everything else here is gravy. Bruce, you have your hand up? Wait. Hold on. Bruce, did you have something you were going to add there?
I was just holding my head up.
Okay, sorry about that. Fantastic. Let me make a quick little announcement. Oh, I had a homework for us to try. This is the same kind of thing. I'm going to use this tissue, and this would work much better if we were in person. So you're going to have to imagine a little bit here.
No, thank you.
It's going to be like a magic trick. Some of you know where this is going. Some of you don't. It goes like this. Watch.
No, thank you.
If I were to offer you this tissue, Rob already gave us a hint. And I say, hey,
Oh, thank you.
would you like this tissue? Joy, would you like this tissue?
No. Thank you.
It's all right. It's the way that it's said. It's not the words, it's the way that it's said. You could say no, or you can say no. There's a huge difference in intonation. Would you like this tissue? No.
Oh. Ew.
I want us to notice that there's no heat behind it. There's no heat behind it. The same way, if somebody offers you a criticism, is there any way that you can take it in and just notice it without having heat behind it? And they tell you, you know, those pants look awful on you, and you have the ability to say, no, thank you. I think they're quite awesome. If you would, it's hard. It is hard. So let's practice.
That would depend upon whether you needed me to throw it away for you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob. If I were to offer you this issue, I want to have everyone practice, and this is going to go to where we're going in a minute about the pinky thumb thing. If I offer you this tissue, I want everyone to hear in their own head what it sounds like in perfect test conditions where it doesn't matter. This is a tissue. It's an easy steak. And I say, would you like this tissue? And I want to hear yourself say, what do you say when someone offers you a dirty, snotty tissue? You say, no, thank you. And now also in test conditions, because this is you know that I'm just saying it, and I say, you're a damn fool. You're an idiot. How could you think that?
Thank you.
Can you say the same? Can you say it back the same way?
Thank you.
It's a little bit harder for a lot of us, isn't it? It's a little bit harder now. If it's this hard here now, all the more so when you're out in the world and your spouse says to you, what the fuck were you thinking?
Can I say one quick?
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
One quick thing. If you were really feeling compassionate, you could say, Gesundheit.
You could, which
Or you could say God bless. You could say God bless you.
you could, but again, it's about practice. If it's hard for us to do here in this situation, we all got it with the tissue, but it all of a sudden got harder when it felt personal. All the more so when we're in the real world. All right, everyone, hands out, please. Hands out in front of you. Please turn your hands so they're facing you. Make two fists. And I had asked people to practice this. You're going to do this. You're going to go pinky thumb, pinky thumb, pinky thumb, pinky thumb, pinky thumb, pinky thumb, pinky. Oh, good.
Look at Julie go.
Some of you, look at you guys. Some of you got it. Some of you have more fingers going out than two. Good job. And stop there for a moment. Stop there for a moment. Those of you who were able to do that well, in one word, what was your secret to doing it well?
Rhythm.
Practice.
Practice. Practice.
Practice.
Most of you know the answer. The answer is
Practice.
Repetition.
practice, repetition, doing it over and over again until you worked through the kinks in the system. Trees are to people, right? The way we judge trees and the way that we judge people, the same way that learning how to do this thing with learn how to do, pinky thumb, goes to anything else you want to learn. We've been talking a lot about self-kindness. How are you going to get better at self-kindness? I'll answer that. Okay, you answer that. How are you going to get better at self-kindness?
Practice.
I gave an awful homework assignment to a special member of Religion Outside the Boxes community. And it was an awful thing, an awful homework assignment. And Laura, do you mind? Can we imagine that you made a drawing and you were 4 years old and you showed someone the drawing? What would they say? And Laura, what did you say? A 4-year-old shows you a drawing. What do you say?
I said, oh, wow, that looks great. Good job.
And then we said, what would happen if Laura made a drawing? And what would she say about it herself? That's rough. That's not so easy to do. So, Laura, would you mind showing everyone the drawing that you have? And everyone, treat Laura like she's a tree.
Or a 4-year-old.
Or a 4-year-old. Here we go. Go for it.
Okay, so I painted something instead. Oh, I love it.
Wow. Yeah.
Wait. No, right there. Right there, Laura.
What? It's embarrassing. These people don't know that this is the best I can do.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
I would buy it from you, Laura, if you want to sell it. No, I'm serious. If you're selling it, send me a private message, and I'll buy it.
But we didn't ask you to make the very best, just to give it your best effort. And it is, as far as we can tell, your best effort. So just swallow.
Swallow in the... It's hard to do, Laura, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And let me ask you a question. Is there a part of you that's thinking, something ain't right with these people? Do you have that going on in your head?
Enough art.
No, if anything, I'm thinking that I want to be more like these people. I need this chorus in my head all the time.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
I think we found out what we're all doing here. Al, do you have something you want to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, Laura, I would love to see your original drawing, the one that you think isn't good enough.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
I bet you get a very
just throw it
supportive
away.
reaction.
Wait a second, Laura, is there any chance you can find that drawing?
It is no longer with us.
I'm disappointed.
Al,
I would love to have seen it.
it's a good point. Because what do you think would have happened if Laura showed that first drawing that she didn't think was so good? How many of you imagine how horrible that drawing was? How many of you would have changed what you said? Strange. Isn't that strange?
We all need support.
Fucking men.
Yeah.
We all need support. Tom.
So this is made me think of now 2 TWIPs. I've got 2 TWIPs to recommend.
Okay.
This week I'll practice. This week I'll practice going into the world as a nursery school teacher. Everybody I meet, I'm going to see as a precious 4-year-old.
Wait a second, Tom. I taught in the classroom next to yours.
Yes, you did.
I wasn't a nursery school teacher.
No, I was well. Yeah, no comment. Maybe that was work. Maybe that's why I admired you so well. Because anyway.
No,
Yeah.
let's follow that out. I'll finish it if you like.
Yeah.
I treated all my students with as much love as I could find.
Right.
Why do you think I'm the Pied Piper of Saturday morning?
Rabbi.
Say that again, Hannah. It's my calling. But how do I treat you all?
You treat us well.
And
The other TWIP. Let me just mention the other TWIP too, and then I'll mute. So yeah, I want to go into the world like a nursery school teacher, and everyone is a precious 4-year-old. And the other thing is, in terms of being better, more kind to myself, when I look into the mirror, I'm going to turn myself into a tree.
Turn people and me into a tree.
Yeah. Or maybe a whole little forest.
I got a whole little forest of hairs that are growing where they didn't used to.
Oh yeah, then there's clear cutting. Some people have suffered from some clear cutting.
It's all not good. Hannah, what do you have to say, my friend?
I was thinking of this experience I often have I write professionally, and I will run into people in my job who will be like, "Oh, I could never do that. I could never write professionally. I hate writing. I'm really bad at it." And then they, inevitably they have to produce something. They have to write an email. They have to write a draft, and I have to edit it, whatever. And it's always fine, and I'm always like, I mean, everyone can write. It's not rocket science. It's just the fact that, I have devoted myself professionally to it, that's what, has gotten me to where I am. But anyway, I just think it's also interesting that when people approach you, they kind of give you, they're trying to feed you a little bit of like, it'll be nice to me, please, when you see how terrible my writing is.
Yeah.
They set themselves up for the disappointment of you being like, yeah, it's pretty shitty.
Thank you, Hannah. I had someone this week, and they were on themselves. Listen, watch this one. They were on themselves because they said, "Rabbi, I just can't be as nice as you are." Okay, maybe I've practiced it a little bit longer. No. Everyone can do. I remember I saw my friend Larry being so kind to everyone, and I thought, "Si ille or iste cor non ego." I didn't think in Latin, but that's the Latin of it. To undergird how important the phrase is, because if you put it in Latin, then it's important. It's St. Augustine who said, "If he can or she can, why can't I?" If he can or she can, why can't I? All of learning is based on jealousy. You're able to do something, or you want to get further, you want to be able to do that too. There's no secret to being kind except practice. Okay, amen.
Amen.
I'm going to move us along. Amen. I have a few. I forgot to ask for an announcer for today. I'm going to need somebody who's on a computer to read today's announcements. Do I have a volunteer? Somebody who hasn't read announcements for a few days, a few weeks? I got some people shaking their head vigorously. No, I'm not volunteering to read the announcements. Tom? Okay, Tom, in a moment you will be getting the announcements from Alex, and we will be reading them. Before we do that, I have this little segment here.
You didn't give me the link again this week.
Good luck,
Is
Tom.
it the same as the one maybe?
You know, and I even tried to raise my hand and throw it down real quickly.
Yeah.
But I wasn't quick enough.
I'm coming up with the announcements. That's on me. I'm sorry, Alex. All right. You know what? You're all going to be able to follow along with the announcements because I just put them in the chat. But please don't do that unless you do. So I was going to add in something right now, and the religious service. This guy's got some degrees in religion and theology, and I wanted to do something I'm calling a God drop. And I dropped a little bit of God, different people's theologies in the past, like Eric Fromm's God is just a word for our highest ideals. And I wanted to give you 3 different, very pithy and beautiful quotes about God. Not that anyone has to believe any of these things. These are just words, and they're words that I think help us. That Octavia Butler, she said, God is change. I like that one. That's Octavia Butler. Martin Buber said, God is connections to others. Our connections to others. That's where we see God. God is in connections to others. And the third one I'm going to give you is from Paul Tillich. And he said that God is the ground of our being.
I like that one.
And that one gets a seal of approval from one person. So good. Ground of Paul Tillich. The one above it is Martin Buber. Is the crowd favorite. And the one is Paul in our connection to others. In telling people who they are to us. In seeing people for really who they are. That we can see a face of God. And this one was Octavia Butler.
True.
And hopefully work can break out among any one of you who want to say that yours definition is more. You ready? I know this public thing is not your strongest suit, but can you tell everyone this week that you wanted to share?
Here we are. On Tuesday, I became a fully fledged Jew. So that was super.
Fantastic. Well, we're glad to have you as a member of this community as any way that you are. So I'm glad that that's meaningful and that you're here. And mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov. And my other announcement, okay, send me a message or put something in the chat. I have one of my former students, Kiana. She is she's demoing Cutco knives. I don't know if any of you know what that is. She gets paid for every presentation she does. And I said, can we just do like a Zoom group if I invite a whole group of people? She said, yeah, that's fine. I'd get total credit for that too. So if you have any desire to sit through listening to a presentation that's not quite a pyramid scheme, but I'm not quite sure how it's if you want to do a good turn for a young kid, send me a message and I'll put you on the list and invite you to a Cutco demonstration. You do not need to buy a knife. You just have to listen to her talk about them.
Cutco is a real company. It's old. It's more than 40 years old.
It's for real. People have been doing this.
I have a Cutco knife.
There we go. We even have endorsements and testimonials right now.
I have actually 2 Cutco knives that my parents gave me that they bought from someone.
And intergenerational, these knives. It's fantastic.
An entire marketing campaign for this
I will tell her. I want to go back 1 second before we do the next little assignment. I want to go back to another TWIP. Another thing to practice is to remember that the practice, the reason we're doing practicing is to do it in test conditions. Because the better you're able to learn about yourself and what you're, I'm going to try to say this is, I want all of you this week, if you haven't already, to be able to do this pinky thumb thing. I know it's totally stupid. Or to do the thing where you put your shoes on in the reverse order this week. I want you to practice doing something consequent. Start to see what it is that goes on internally when you put the regular shoe on the regular foot, and you go, "Oh, you dumb idiot! You should have." And you go, "Oh, look! I noticed. I'm criticizing myself because if you criticize yourself when you're doing it with something of no consequence, you're going to be doing that in the rougher real world as well. And the better we can see our own process, the kinder we can be to ourselves. Go, oh, that's just my process for right now. I'm learning. Okay. Oh, look, I got people who are ready to do Cutco knives. So thank you so much for emailing me that. I have an assignment for us to do. We're going to break into small groups. Alex, if you could, this is kind of my Star Trek moment. If you could ready the breakout rooms, we're going to.
Star Trek.
Brian, did you want to do the announcements first, though?
How many rooms? Before it starts on the announcements, how many rooms do you want to set up, please?
I'd like rooms of about 5 to 6 people. And before we do that, we have a very special thing here. They're called the Saturday morning announcements. Wait a second. There we go, Tom. They're all you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome again to Saturday service of Religion Outside the Box. The Saturday service attendee form is in the chat. Please find that and make yourself known that you were here. Your donations make ROTB magic happen. More money in the ROTB bank makes it easier for Rabbi Brian to make more ROTB magic happen. That link is also there. It says Empower Support toward the end of it. All right. ROTB's online community clubhouse. Many of you are already members of ROTB's online community clubhouse. If you're looking for where the cool kids are, now you know. It's a place to continue the ROTB good vibes between our Saturday sessions. I'll see you there. Login information in the newsletter and in the attendees form. Rabbi Brian is seeking some moderators to welcome newcomers, answer questions, and ask them to post a profile picture. These are clubhouse moderators. If you want to be involved, please indicate your interest on the attendee form previously mentioned.
Oh, you're going to be mentioning the attendee form a lot.
Okay.
You'll see. Yeah. Keep going.
Past video lesson helpers. Status report. Ann Mayer is heading up the group to collate where in the ROTB YouTube archives different lessons are. That's a kind of a tongue twister. ROTB YouTube. So soonish, a resource will be made available. This is awesome, Tom editorially adds. If you want to be involved, please indicate your interest on the attendee form aforementioned. ROTB's Shekinah group. An update. The Shekinah group is planning the Zoom call. If you want to be involved, please indicate your interest on the attendee form. The ROTB Nerd Group, the status report. Rabbi Brian asked a group of people to cull through Zoom data and the glorious group of number crunchers, headed by Wendy, are making pivot tables and other information about attendance at these services. Status report. The Shekinah group is planning a Zoom call. If you want to be involved, possibly following up with past attendees, please indicate your interest on the attendee form. ROTD's weekday 11 a.m. group. The status report that groups are meeting. Rabbi Brian is there on Tuesdays. The other days are songs RB. If you want to be invited, please indicate your interest on the form. All of Rabbi Brian's grant writer. Aviva is heading up this new group. It is looking into getting some grants for ROTD, so Rabbi Brian can write a curriculum. If you want to be involved, please indicate your interest on the attendee form. ROTD's Help the Publicist group. This is a new group, and it might or might not happen. But Rabbi Brian's publicist, Maggie, might have some internet searching tasks that could take some weight off of her so she can better focus on getting RB some good interviews. If you want to be involved in this research or searching tasks, please indicate your interest on the attendee form.
There's a lot of answers.
Donut Hour. Maria will be hosting the main room for Donut Hour. Deep Dive will be with Kip or Al. For better or for worse, Poetry at Your Service will be hosted by Tom, that's me, yours truly, who ironically will be forced to retire as he got a job. And I work on Saturdays. And the no-host room will be open. So don't host it if you go there. And if you can, please stick around. Donations, Rabbi Brian is able to run this, the newsletter, and more because of you and your generosity. Please consider what you are getting out of this gathering and supporting the heck out of it. Appreciation time. Rabbi Brian and everyone else, all of us, want to send appreciations and thanks to Maria, Afia, hope I pronounced that right, Lee, Kip, Al, and Aviva. And now, back to you, Rabbi Brian.
Thank you, Tom. Everyone give Tom some love there. And Tom, we will miss you when your job starts up on Saturday, so
thank you. Thanks, I'll miss you all too.
I am okay, so time to move on to oh no, there it is. Okay. We had done last week, we did a nice review of the gold rat triangle of change and no change, the benefits and the detriments. And we had talked last week, and if you're new, stick with us. We had talked about what were and if I point to one of these four columns, can you tell me what was in them? We had talked about the benefits of change, and we referred to them as somebody who hasn't shouted out in a bit. What did that one you referred to the top right quadrant as? That one was the
You're not a speaker on my computer. You're still little.
I'm still here, Rita.
There you go.
There you are.
Okay, so let's try this again. Don't know what happened. So here we are with our change matrix. And this one up here, where the change for the positive, that one we call the pot of gold. This one down here we call the monster, and it's the other two that I'm always the most interested in. The other two quadrants. This one here, the change, the benefits of not changing, we refer to that one as
Mermaid.
That was our mermaid. That was our friend the mermaid, that if we got the gold, we would have to lose our friend the mermaid. And then we refer to this one is if we got the gold, we'd have a new problem, and we refer to that one as you didn't have to worry for that. If you're new, stick with, or we will be able, if you go back to next week's, well, soon we'll have links to where all of these goodness things are talked about. I wanted to ask you guys this week, we're going to break into small groups. And if you don't like being in a small group, just stick around. I'll host you here. But I really want to see, and I want you to see how well you can do this without me. All right, if we look at the 5 stages of learning, there was not being doing this. Then you get level 5 without my hands. And so to do so, today's topic, doing it with kids, I want us to look up is be kind. So in a moment, we're going to ask you, and how are we with the, Alex, are we at the ready? So on the bottom of your screen, you'll be able to see there's a way to move into a room. If you click on, Alex, where are they going to be clicking on? Six minutes. Those of you who are still here with me, we're going to work on this together. So, hi, we're still here. Oh, good. Now that we got rid of all those troublemakers, who's still here? We're still here. Nikki and Sherry. I don't quite get the name there. It's Brune? Bobby. Fantastic. Let me just go over the basic rules of the test. So, rules of the positive. So if we're kind, we're going to get these benefits. And if we're not kind, so this is not change, if we're not kind, we're going to have these problems. Let's take a quick look at those things. If some of the benefits of being kind, some of the benefits, we are more kind. What are some of the benefits of being kind are? What do you got? What's the benefit of being kind? Why would anyone even bother?
You have more peace.
The benefit of being kind might be that you have more peace. Thank you, Anne. Other benefits of being kind are, I would say, you'd get more friends. People want to hang out with you because you're kind. What else might happen if you are more kind? The more kinder you are, or let's go the other one. So you get more peace and more friends if you're kind. If you're not kind, what are the problems that you'll face? For not being kind, people who are not isolated. Thank you. You're going to be by yourself. You're going to be alone. What are other things that what might be other problems of not being kind? That's a very quiet group.
Hostility?
Yeah. People might be hostile to you because you're not being kind. Now, let's look at the other two, because this is where it starts to get really interesting. If I am kind and I wasn't kind previously, I'm going to lose this thing that I enjoyed. This is a hard one. And with this quiet group, let's see what we can get. If I'm not kind, I get to do something that I didn't get, that I would not be able to do if I were kind. What's the benefit of not being kind? A benefit of not being kind might be, what do you got?
Judgmental.
I get to be judgmental, and that's so much fun. I can then be superior to other people. Yeah.
Self-righteous.
I get to be self-righteous.
A bully.
Oh my goodness, and isn't it fun to have power and to abuse it?
No.
Well, that's why people do it. It makes them feel big and strong. So if I'm not kind, I get to be a bully, judgmental, and self-righteous. Brilliant answers. And let's try the other one. If I'm kind, I might have a problem that I didn't have previously when I wasn't kind. What might that be?
Vulnerable.
Uh-oh. I might now have to be vulnerable. Ugh. That's gross. What else might happen? What else might, what other problem that I'm kind that I didn't have when I wasn't so kind? Non-judgmental. Thinking of another one. Now, me. too is people might take advantage of it. It definitely could happen. It's kind of take advantage in a way that if I give them the one on the closing down rooms that they didn't before, Alex, would you see it, Mark? I'm going to, and I'm get some peace to get away from I'm going to lose my ability to be a judgmental self-righteous bully. And people might take advantage of it. These are problems that we've never had before that we might have all of a sudden. It looks like some of our friends are coming back. I think maybe in the long run, but in the short term, so much damn. So much easier to get. Yeah. So this is harder. It's not enough time. I completely agree, but I have agreement. You have 6 days and 20 more with the universe for
Oh, nice.
to work on this. Let's start with the larger picture. Were you able to use the tool in yourselves?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Did you do it perfect? Of course you did.
No.
I mean, perfectly imperfect. But you got working on it, so you're already up to level 4. Some of
Yes.
some perfectly. The group to help you, but you're on the way to using this tool, which we came up with the interesting thing. Doing highlights or some really interesting things. This is our group very quickly said that if I'm not kind, I get to remain a judgmental, self-righteous bully.
That's a good one.
That's right.
I get to be a judgmental bully. And if I change to be kind, sure, I'll have peace and some friends, but I will be taken advantage of, and it's harder to do.
Yeah.
It's much easier. Else, I appreciate that.
Well, volunteered the dick.
Oh, I get you. Oh. Okay, wait. We're the only person who can get booed in this is me. That every room is. What did you get in your room?
Appreciate it.
Thank you. What were some of the mermaids? Shout them out. Some of the mermaids, some of the advantages of not being kind include. What were some of the things of not being kind?
I get more stuff.
You get stuff.
Yeah, I get to keep what I've got.
Yeah.
And you get to keep. You don't have to share. This is
Right.
Sucks. I'd have to share. That's funny that one of the robbers is having to.
You appear strong.
You appear. Ooh, love the word appear in that. You're strong.
Yes.
It may be if only to yourself, but you appear strong.
The Republican Committee.
May I share something
Yes,
about
Jules.
this?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was sharing with Tom that I could continue with my chihuahuas. Chihuahuas are
Yeah.
They're short and they're puny, but then they tend to be aggressive, even though everybody can toss them away. But they,
Of the police not changing, great thing is not changing.
right. That's right.
Right? There was something that Newton said about that a body at rest tends to stay at rest. Who wants to change? It takes effort. It's tiring. I am sure.
Somebody else, I forget who. The benefit of changing is I feel like who I am.
Yes. You have a sense of self that doesn't change. And what were some of the robbers? If I am to be more kind, I might now have a problem I hadn't had before. Sense. What?
Vulnerable.
Yeah, vulnerable. Vulnerable is a big one. What else do we got?
My came at it from the self-kindness side of things.
Okay.
So we came out losing the sense of accountability. That if you have self-kindness, then you lose sort of a sense of kind of motivation and self-accountability. Actually being kind to yourself.
It kind of reminds me, I grew up on a very small island where everyone said that stress was good for you. I'm not sure I buy that. Okay, folks, we are coming towards an end. We have had some good to say, if only I know myself. Before we end, I'd like to hear some more review. What is it that you're taking? Class is not dismissed until I hear at least 3 things. I don't care. Do what you want. 3 things that we learned today. 3 things that we learned today are. One is practice, or at least 3. Only I said.
So with losing the sense of accountability. That if you have self-kindness, then you lose sort of a sense of kind of motivation and self-accountability when you're actually being kind to yourself.
It kind of reminds me, I grew up on a very small island where everyone said that stress was good for you. I'm not sure I buy that. Okay, folks, we are coming towards an end. We have had some good discussion today. If only I say so. Here's some more. So before we end, I'd like to review what is it that you're taking from today. The class is not dismissed until I hear at least 3 things. Do what you want. You're all adults. I don't care. 3 things that we learned today. 3 things that we learned today are, 1 is practice. The importance of practice. The second thing. Say it again.
Yes.
Treat people like trees. The second thing we learned was turn people into trees, which means accept them as they are, tree warts and all.
Into the world.
Yeah. And the third thing that we learned today.
There. Going into the world as a nursery school teacher.
The third thing we said was that the world can be a better place if we treat everyone as though they're in nursery school.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah. Folks, please stick around. We have donut hour. And otherwise, next week this service will continue on. So glad that you all joined. I send you lots of love. And please, let's wave and say goodbye for those on Facebook who will not be continuing this journey with us. So say goodbye to them. Bye, Facebook.
Bye, Facebook.
Bye, friends.
And we hit stop. There we go.
Okay, thank you for listening with me, watching with me.
This guy. Okay, we did it. This is it. This is the day. This is the day that I got this clock with this one here and this one there to line up. Look at that. Which means we're going to start meditating at exactly 2 p.m. Pacific time. So excited. I want to do a world. That's a little nauseating. Okay, guys. Meditation time. It's meditation time. Words appear here under my hand. I think that happens automatically. Words are showing up there. Anyway, thanks for joining me.
I don't see any words.
Again, I got that trimmer setting. I think it will just, it looks like I shaved everything off because so much of it's gray and it blends in. I don't think other meditation people talk about this stuff before they meditate. Maybe they do. The ones I've been to don't. But what else are we going to talk about? No, so, well, anyway. Blah, 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 blah. Like my new shirt. I do. Oh, stretch. Stretch. Meditation. If you would like to join me for meditating, I'm going to be meditating, for 20 minute meditation. As long as you sit. That's as long as you sit. No extra credit. No. It's all good, Jer. Let's do it.